The 41st floor of my Tokyo hotel felt like a prism of isolation, suspended in a storm of neon rain. My reflection stared back from the floor-to-ceiling window, sharp angles framed by charcoal silk, the armor of a woman who had built a wellness empire from nothing, starting with a damp basement and a borrowed yoga mat. Outside, the Shinjuku skyline bled together, electric blues fading into industrial grays. Then my phone vibrated against the cold marble vanity. A single notification. One pulse of electricity that would ignite the next 72 hours of my life. Subject: Oregon asset. Final disposition. I opened it, expecting a mundane update from my estate manager. Perhaps a tax receipt, a maintenance note, anything routine. Instead, it was a bullet point to my heart. My parents had sold my seaside villa in Cannon Beach. The $240,000 from the sale was already sitting in my sister Brianna's account, covering her reckless gambling debts in Reno. The email closed with words designed to wound like a scalpel. "You've built so much, Alyssa. We knew you wouldn't mind. The house is better used saving your sister's life." The air in the suite didn't change, but inside me everything froze. I didn't reach for a drink. I didn't tremble. I didn't scream. I simply stared at the cursor blinking in silent rhythm, the heartbeat of a betrayal I had been blind to until now. They hadn't just taken a property. They had tried to liquidate my sanctuary, the one place I felt safe, to subsidize a sister who had never earned her keep. I didn't respond. I didn't react. In my world, attention was currency, and I refused to spend it on a negotiation that was already over. Instead, I logged into the Daniel Family Trust portal, the 20-year-old financial safety net I had built for my parents' comfort. 20 years of my sweat, dividends, and foresight had underwritten their lives. Every lavish dinner, every vacation, every reckless indulgence, they had all been on me. I scrolled through accounts with the detachment of a forensic accountant. Robert's luxury SUV. Accessed the lease, executed a total termination clause. GPS flagged. Recovery in 60 minutes. Corporate cards. Audited transactions froze them permanently. $3,400 flushed in a casino 2 days ago. No more. No tantrum. No vengeance. Just precision. Every account, every indulgence, every exploit cut off. Outside, Tokyo bled copper into the rain. Inside, clarity sharpened into predatory calm. Being the anchor of a family isn't honor, it's expectation. You stay submerged while others float on your effort. I had been the foundation. Brianna had been chaos. My parents had grown fat on the labor of my restraint, and now the books were balanced. This was scapegoat clarity. I wasn't angry. I wasn't cruel. I was finally awake. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from, and what time is it for you? I love seeing our global community come alive. By the time my plane touched down in Oregon, the gray sky matched the mood I had cultivated over 11 hours of planning. I didn't sleep. I didn't watch movies. I reviewed corporate bylaws, asset protection statutes, and every clause of my holding company, every possible leverage point I could use against the people who had spent decades exploiting me. Austin, my business partner and legal strategist, met me at the curb, face tight with anticipation. He handed me a thick folder. The lies my parents used to bypass my authorization, the forged paperwork, the fake medical powers of attorney, the shell company used to buy my villa. They tried to declare you incompetent, Austin said, voice low, and sell your house without your signature. This isn't just fraud, it's identity theft, forgery, and wire fraud all rolled into one. I flipped through the documents. Every forged stamp, every false signature, every attempt to manipulate the law to their advantage was visible. They had underestimated me. They had forgotten who owned the board. Apex Legacy Holdings, I whispered, reading the shell company's name. My private equity subsidiary. They had sold the villa to me, trying to hide their theft behind layers of their own creation. They were trying to rob the house from the person who owned it outright. Austin smirked. They literally built their own crime on your assets, not realizing you already controlled the exit strategy. By the next morning, the conference room at the title office smelled of floor wax and impending judgment. My parents arrived smug, confident. Robert with his gold watch, another gift from me, and Cynthia clutching a designer handbag worth more than a year of my college tuition. They froze when I entered. The smug smiles drained from their faces like ink from a spilled bottle. Alyssa? You're supposed to be in Tokyo, Robert stammered. Efficiency is a hallmark of my company, Mother, I said, taking my seat at the head of the table. Austin placed a recorder between us. 2 plainclothes officers lingered silently by the exit. Robert spluttered, attempting to gaslight. We were just handling family logistics. You shouldn't be here. Family logistics? I leaned in, voice cold. You mean forging a power of attorney, committing fraud, and attempting to steal my home? Because that's the felony you just walked into. Cynthia began to shriek, her voice rising in desperation, but I cut through it like a scalpel. You didn't sell the house to a stranger. You sold it to me, which is a confession of fraud, identity theft, and forgery. This is no longer a family dispute. This is a crime scene. I slid a single sheet of paper across the table. A notarized, irrevocable waiver of all claims to my estate, inheritance, and the family trust. Sign this, return all diverted funds, and vacate the house, I said. Or the officers do their job. Robert's hand trembled as he held the pen. One by one, they signed away their power, their leverage, their illusion of entitlement. The SUV? Repossessed. The corporate cards? Permanently frozen. The villa? Safe under my ownership. By the time I walked out of that office, the weight I had carried since childhood, the burden of being the invisible foundation, had lifted. Comment below what you would have done if your own family tried to steal from you. How far would you go to protect your life's work? The weeks that followed were quieter than I could have imagined. No celebrations, no triumphant declarations. Just silence, a stark, heavy contrast to the chaos my parents had sown. They moved into a cramped rental in a neighborhood they had once mocked from the tinted windows of my luxury cars. Brianna, stripped of her human ATM and enablers, finally faced reality. I heard she took a minimum wage service job. Perhaps now she would understand what effort truly earned. I returned to the villa in Cannon Beach one last time. The Pacific mist kissed my face, and the waves' relentless rhythm drowned out decades of my father's lies and my mother's manipulations. I didn't see a property anymore. I saw a cage I had outgrown, a sanctuary I had finally liberated. Within a month, I transferred the villa to a non-profit foundation I had been quietly funding. We renamed it the Anchor House, a sanctuary and resilience center for women who had survived financial exploitation and domestic abuse. What had once been a place of betrayal would now witness empowerment and rebirth. I stood on the deck watching the tide wash away every footprint, every trace of my past obligations. The family group chat still buzzed with 52 unread messages, attempts at manipulation, fake apologies, guilt-tripping. I didn't read them. I didn't need to. I tapped delete and leave group. The burden I had carried since childhood, every stolen allowance, every sacrificed opportunity, every emotional weight I had absorbed, vanished in a single motion. For the first time, I wasn't the strong one. I wasn't the resilient one who took every blow to shield them. I was just Alyssa. And that was more than enough. This story isn't just mine. It's for anyone who has had to choose themselves over a toxic family bond. For anyone who has been the invisible foundation while others thrived on their labor. For anyone who has sacrificed time, money, and emotional energy to support people who never valued them. You are not invisible. You are not just a resource. Your worth is not determined by how much others take from you. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to reclaim your life. And when you do, you might just discover, like I did, that being just yourself is the most powerful freedom of all. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs the courage to set a boundary today. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Comment below what you would have done in Alyssa's place, and give it a like, it really helps the channel.